So our scripture today from Philippians 4, 6 through 7, it's one of those scriptures that I feel like we do kind of throw out, especially with topics like this, maybe a little bit too much. I think it's very easy to just kind of, when somebody is really confronting any of the issue, whether it's loneliness, depression, isolation, whatever, anxiety, to kind of say these sorts of things can feel a lot of times like a little bit of an insult, even if there's truth to it. Even if there is truth that, if we rely on God in a situation like this, He will carry us through. It can feel like a little bit of an insult at some time. And I want to start out by kind of addressing that. First and foremost, that's not my intention at all by bringing up that scripture or bringing up what it has said. My intent, though, is to highlight that sort of truth that if we do rely on God, God will carry us through things. And in seeking that, He's going to help us. Now, this again does not mean that you should not seek help from professionals when you are in a situation like this, and that it's really affecting your life. If you're really feeling a heavy level of loneliness, that could be something more than just loneliness as a result of the pandemic. So please, if you are really struggling with things, please get help. Please, please, please reach out to somebody, whether it's a psychiatrist or counselor, and get help. But I think for the rest of us, especially in this time when we're, spending time away from each other and everything, especially as we're coming up to the holiday seasons, loneliness is a very understandable feeling that can come up. It's very common, and this is one of those times of years where it kind of gets ramped up even more because with everything that's going on, it's more highlighted than it probably would be normally. It's very easy to kind of look around and think about how, in years past, what you were doing, who you were hanging around, and feel like as a result of all this that you're more lonely. Or for some of you out there, maybe you lost a loved one and, this is your first Thanksgiving or Christmas, truly alone in that sort of sense. And at that point, loneliness is understandable as well. So how do we handle this? How do we deal with this? Well, as I said, going to God is a great step, and it is something which we have to do. But the other thing which I think is important is, and I said this last week and I'm going to say it again, is making sure that we are connected to a community. And it won't necessarily fix the feelings and the problems every single time. And again, as I've said, sometimes you really do just need to go and get help to deal with these types of problems. And there's nothing else that necessarily I can say or suggest that will do it. If you're grieving and it's really, really, really difficult for you to get through it, go seek that help. Go seek people to grieve together with. Rest those burdens on other individuals. But I do think it is important that, when we are feeling lonely, to try and at least take some steps ourselves to solve that problem. To try and bring more people around us so that we don't feel that sort of loneliness. I remember years ago when I was doing sales, in the office I worked in, there was actually a group of individuals who had come all the way from Las Vegas and were working in our area for this time to get like extra training and everything and to get better prepared. And they were going to eventually move out to back to the West Coast and kind of reestablish and everything. And one of the things that they actually did around this time was the concept of Friendsgiving, which I had never encountered until this moment. But because they were all away from their families, from their friends and everything, Thanksgiving for them was going to be a very different experience. And so there's a real push from the entire office even to kind of do something around them and everything in sort of a celebratory way so they could have a sort of Thanksgiving that they would sort of normally have. And so that kind of illustrates to me the importance of making sure that we take that time to connect with other people. Now, the flip side, and I'm going to hit this again, is that, as individuals who are part of a community, we need to make a point to be mindful and be looking around for individuals who are experiencing these types of feelings and reach out to them and help them. Especially when it comes to individuals who are in mourning. I think having somebody who reaches out and says, I understand what you're going through is very, very important. And, taking time to also spend time with them, inviting them over for a Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner or whatever, just so that they can, have a, sort of happy celebration, that means a ton. I think we all need to kind of have that sort of mindfulness. And so often I do really feel like with both of these sort of issues of feeling isolated, of feeling loneliness, which do seem very much like the same thing, but can be a little bit different. I feel like so often we talk about them as if the person who's feeling that has to do something. And yes, but there is this other side where us as a community need to recognize what's going on with individuals around us and reach out and try and really help them. So I want to encourage you all out there to do that, to be mindful of those sorts of things. So that is all I have for you this week. We're going to be going into our last song. So I will bid you all farewell for this week. Light on the Hill, and stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week.